The doctor is in and taking your calls at 800-222-5222. It's Dr. Drew, Midday Live with Leeann Tweeden. And you can get it right now.
That's us, Midday Live, Leeann Tweeden, Dr. Drew, 800-222-5222 is our number. Before we go out to the president of the Association of Deputy District Attorneys, Michele, I'll get her last name exactly correct, Hanisee. I want to remind everyone that KABC is welcoming the B-52s with Dead Man's Party at the Pacific Amphitheater August 1st. Part of this year's OC Fair. Tickets are on sale now. If you are caller number 9 on our special contest line, caller number 9 at 888-790-5222 will win a pair of tickets to see the B-52s, Pacific Amphitheater, August 1st. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Right now, we're going to talk a little bit about the death penalty. Michele, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So my understanding is Gavin Newsom is right. He does have the constitutional privilege to do what he's done. However, I imagine there will be suits, correct?
Well, he has the constitutional privilege to do some of what he's done, but not all of what he's done. The Article 5, Section 8 of the California Constitution is where he gets his power of reprieve, pardon, and commutation. And that is almost without limit. And with respect to reprieves, really is without limit. But those are respect to sentenced prisoners only. That's different than declaring the death penalty invalid for the entire state, even for future sentences, which he cannot do. And dismantling the death chamber is in direct violation of Penal Code Section 3604, subsection E, which was enacted by Proposition 66, which says the Department of Corrections must maintain at all times the ability to carry out these judgments.
I'm conflicted by all this. I mean, it seems to me that the majority can only decide so much, right? I mean, one of the things the Founding Fathers feared more than, well, amongst other things, they feared the tyranny of the majority, right? And even Abraham Lincoln allegedly said something to I've quoted this before, I've had trouble finding it, but he essentially said something like, there are certain things the majority can't decide. The majority can't decide what the majority can't decide. So there's a point at which there has to be a philosophical discussion about a government's privilege to engage in the death penalty, independent of what the majority believes, right?
Well, that's, now we're talking about true democracy versus a Republican system, which is what we actually have, not referring to political parties, but a political process. And it's a good discussion to have, but we have separation of powers that are supposed to, in part, address those concerns. Now, like you said, a majority can't just vote anything into law. Particularly, we couldn't vote to pass a law that discriminated against protected classes. But it would not be the governor's place under our system to say that law was not a good law and that he wouldn't enforce it. That would be up to the courts. That is their purview to weigh upon the constitutionality of laws passed either by our legislature or by our citizens.
Leanne, I bet you come down a different place than I on this thing. I'm ambivalent about death penalty. So when Gavin Newsom steps up and goes, I can make a decision, I can lead, I can do this, doesn't matter what the people decide, I go, all right, what do you say?
No, well, I voted yes in 2016 to speed up the process for people that were on death row for the death penalty. And so it makes me angry that he's saying, well, I'm just going to put a stay on it and I can do it as long as I'm governor because I don't like the death penalty. And I'm like, well, wait, I thought people voted you in to do the will of the people and he's just doing what he wants. And so that part of it makes me angry. And, I want to know if that's legal for him to do that and if anybody's going to try to stop him from doing it.
Well, he did promise during his campaign that although he was against the death penalty, he would not interfere with the will of the voters on, keeping the death penalty. He flat out said that. So he's obviously violated that promise already.
That's
and I think it appears to be purely situational ethics here.
Meaning what? Well,
last month, didn't Gavin Newsom and the Attorney General stand up in a press conference and said they are leading a lawsuit with California as the leader, suing President Trump for violating his executive authority to declare a state of emergency, thereby usurping the legislative authority of Congress? And how is
he's doing the same thing?
Right. He's doing the same thing. He's saying, I am the Emperor of California, and I can invalidate the laws by my word alone.
Is there going to be a single lawsuit, or is there going to be a whole series of suits? It sounds like there's a lot to be discussed.
I think it's a little early to know what's going to happen. I think his act of dismantling the execution chamber probably violates the provisions of Proposition 66 and even the underlying predecessor propositions from the 70s that enacted the Death Penalty after Rose Bird got rid of it. So the question will be, who is going to bring those lawsuits? Who has standing to bring such lawsuits?
And who does? Do we know?
Well, I think that victims of crime clearly do, both under the California Constitution, known as Marsy's Law. Mm-hmm. With respect to that one provision, they cannot use Marsy's Law to attack a reprieve by the governor. That's very clear. And the district attorneys who obtain these judgments in their local courts also would probably have standing under Proposition 66 to bring lawsuits and challenge this should they choose to do so.
It certainly is interesting.
I mean, if I was a family member of somebody murdered and somebody was sitting on death row, and I would be pissed.
Yes, you
and
would.
I would want to sue. Or
what about the pragmatic? Yeah, I get it. What about the pragmatic issue that the death row inmates cost us more than anything else? They're just one of the more costly endeavors in our penitentiary
That's why we voted
system
to speed it up.
I get you.
Two aspects to that. One of the reasons they cost so much was San Quentin, where death row was, is somewhat of an antiquated facility, and it just costs more to operate there. But Prop 66 fixed that by allowing the Department of Corrections to house these inmates anywhere in the prison system the department wanted to, including general population. So that eliminated that huge cost. The other aspect is death penalty cases, the trials themselves, cost more often. It's not just simply because the death penalty is being sought, but because the cases are large and complex. If you have a serial killer who murdered 10 people
in different states,
that trial is going to take 10 times as long as the single murder.
Yeah. And a lot of times they try to fight the verdict.
The appeals.
Right? The
appeals. There's an automatic
appeal.
There's an automatic. No, it's automatic.
Yeah.
And that's the part I find.
And then
I think to me it feels like that's the costly part.
Yeah, and then they keep asking for a stay. Yeah, it keeps going.
So, Michele, you've been the president of the Association of Deputy District Attorneys. What are your colleagues saying about this? What's the general sort of take? Are you from inside the profession, or is Governor Newsom going to get attacked, do you think?
Well, I know that a lot of deputy district attorneys in my office and elected district attorneys across the state they're still reeling from this decision. Absolutely shocked.
Came out of nowhere, it seemed like.
And the victims of crime are devastated.
Mm-hmm.
And I've spoken to a number of them already, people whose cases you would remember. They're absolutely devastated by this. They feel like justice, even distant justice, has been snatched away from them.
Is there something else going on here? It makes me wonder if this is sort of some other move for something else, or he's taking our eye off something else. And we haven't actually carried out an execution in California since 2006, right? So is it possible that this is some sort of a strategic move to temporize something else that we're just not seeing here yet?
Your guess would be better than mine if he is that politically complex.
I'm just saying. Just from what I've seen, I think that would not be surprising at all. I want to take a call here, Michele, from Mike. Mike, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was telling your screener, I have a friend who was a guard at the Chino State Penitentiary. He was murdered by a murderer in jail while waiting to be transferred to San Quentin.
Oh.
And I'm completely against this. This Gavin Newsomes guy is a nut. He wants to tax our water. One of the frequent topics on your show is, why are you leaving California? And I'm trying to get the hell out as soon as I can because of craziness like this.
I hear you, Mike.
I'm sorry about your friend.
Yeah, I am too. And but it is a reminder that people are trying to get out of California. They are. You can't say it's otherwise. Michele, what about that? I suppose there's nothing really about this particular decision that impacts on that story, really.
Well, it absolutely does impact on that story, because the other thing this does is it basically signals to people already in prison serving life sentences for murder that they can kill with impunity while they're incarcerated. They can kill other inmates, and they can kill prison guards and the doctors and other personnel who work in prison with absolutely no risk of additional punishment.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I heard an answer from you on the professional side, on those of you that are prosecuting attorneys, and even the criminal, even on the defense side. I wonder if the legal profession in California is going to have some sort of response to this, or are they generally philosophically against the death penalty and therefore sort of may not like the form in which this took, but for it?
No, I think you will. I think you will see some sort of opposition. This is pretty fresh news, so I'm not sure anyone has any master plan as of today.
I'm looking for, oftentimes I wonder why the legal profession doesn't stand up and take a position on things when their peers or government behaves a certain way. I mean, it could be impactful just to say, here's why this is a horrible idea. Here's why most of us significantly oppose what he's doing. And then the issue of, whether he has the right to do it and how it's going to be sort of milled through the courts, that's a separate matter. But I think the public could benefit from an opinion from your professional, from your peers.
I think that they could too, and that's why I'm trying to engage in these discussions, because this implicates not just the death penalty, it implicates separation of powers in the very structure of our government and the right of the citizens.
Well, but to be fair, our state government officials are both on the justice side and on the executive side have decided they're above the federal law. They've been clearly doing lots of things flying in the face of, what would you say, the actual system of government in which we are supposed to be operating. So I guess and
there's a number of laws right now that are going to be challenged in the courts as unconstitutional for that very reason.
What do you have in mind?
Senate Bill 1437, which basically greatly reduced felony murder and natural and probable consequences theory for murder, but did so retroactively to judgments that were final.
What is going on in the state of California? I just ask myself that almost every day we do this show.
Yeah.
It's hard to understand
scratch your head.
What the end game is. Where do they want to take this? I don't get it. Am I missing something, Michelle?
I'm missing the same thing you're missing. I don't get it. I just feel like there's no consideration for the actual citizens and victims of crime anymore, and all the consideration given to the criminals.
Well, but I think that is true all the way down to the basic needs of civilization. That's what I keep saying. Like, they've decided that civilization doesn't need anything anymore. Doesn't need
like
law and order, doesn't need sanitation,
exactly.
Doesn't need vaccination. It doesn't need anything.
Criminals out,
And when you certainly don't need plastic straws.
Oh yeah, because that's more important
get
than
on
all
that.
of this. Please.
And bridges, not borders. We need bridges. But I just keep saying we need to take some of our homeless up to Canada, because there's obviously a bridge to Canada, and get them into the heroin parks there, because they need that, and they're being mistreated down here. So let's get it going. They need asylum. They need asylum. And certainly the utopia of Canada has a bridge. Oh, no, wait, they've got guys with machine guns waiting for you up there. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Michelle, thank you. Is there any place people should be looking for more information on this?
I don't know where it will be, but we will make sure to get information out there when we have it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Michele Hanisee, the president of the Association of Deputy District Attorneys, who is obviously as
frustrated
and nonplussed as I get when I think of the things that they're doing to healthcare. The lack of mental health care, lack of physical health care. I feel her sort of like, there's nothing. What do you say?